Broker Nation, this is Todd Bitter coming to you from JKS Mortgage in Scottsdale, Arizona on this Monday, just ready to talk about some sales techniques. And basically, what motivates me every single day is just the competition of it all. Years ago, I think it was more about making money. Nowadays, it's like the money takes care of itself if you love what you do. So you got to wake up every morning with the attitude of, you love what you do, you love helping people, and more importantly, you just love winning. And that's what it's all about. I mean, being a broker is about having all the options out there so you can have more tools in your arsenal than the next guy. So that, if you have more tools in your box, you're going to perform better. So it's kind of like a golfer having only one club versus 20. So that's what we are as brokers. So it's a great time to be a broker in this country. It's never been better, and it's great. So let's get after it. Let's make money and let's win every single day at this. A couple of specifics I like to talk about today, and I know you guys have heard me talk about this before, is realtors. Everything I do is realtor based, and it all starts with the realtor. Referrals that I get from other customers came from realtors. So in the end, if you don't have the realtors in your arsenal, you're really limiting yourself and you're pigeonholed into a refi only mode. And let's face it, with rates going up as they are right now, the refis are about to go away. Maybe not totally. And yes, there'll always be cash outs, there'll always be people that need a refi, but the low hanging fruit, the easy 20, 30 deals a month just from refis, those are about to be a thing of the past. So if you're not focusing on realtors or other referral partners, you're really missing out, and you're limiting it yourself to a refi only mode, which can make a lot of money in the short run, but over the long haul, you're going to really suffer. And we've seen that before in 2013, when rates went from 3.25 to 3.375. And within literally a month and a half, when the Fed did their so-called taper tantrum, we saw rates go all the way back into the mid fours. And a lot of guys got caught standing there holding all these refis that they couldn't lock and couldn't close. So those of us who had a lot of purchase business, sure, we all sweat it when rates go up, but we're not really worried because those purchases are still going to be there. So what I would suggest is take a few minutes, plan out a strategy. There's no one way to do this, but my way is I've always worked the title company angle. What I mean by that is I've befriended a lot of title companies in the greater Phoenix area, and there's a lot of title companies in the greater Phoenix area. But if you called around to 50 of those title companies and asked if they knew who I was, you probably would get 35 of the 50 would say, oh yeah, we work with him, we know him, and we love working with him. He's really easy. I never criticize them. If something goes wrong on the title side, I don't criticize them. I just work through it with them. I go out of my way to be very nice to them. And believe it or not, I hear this all the time from title agents that a lot of mortgage people, retail brokers, all alike, kind of like give them a hard time and aren't exactly the nicest to them. I think it's easy to throw shade or blame the title companies when things don't go perfectly. I've made it a point in being friendly with these people, going on my way to help them, maybe making that phone call to help schedule if they need it. Anything they need, I'm there to help them. And more importantly, with the UWN U-Close system, a lot of the title agents really struggle with that system. And it's easy for us to say, we don't understand. Why can't they do it? It's simple. Well, think about it this way. The average title person is dealing with 40 different lender platforms between all the retail and all the different broker models, 40 of them. That's 40 different systems you got to learn. I couldn't do that. I mean, that would be, if I tried to learn 40 different systems and consistently do it at a high level, there's no way possible that it could be done. So we got to give them a little bit of a break on the U-Close system, even though we know it like the back of our hands. They don't always. Some of them do, but not all of them. So I do the whole thing from start to finish myself. I handle the closing process. I just have the title company send me their closing numbers, and then I input it and I balance it and I draw docs and I do all that for them. That has won me a lot of fans with the title companies out there. I get title companies that refer realtors to me on a regular basis. just, I think it was in the last 30 days, I've had a title company that had a realtor that was, struggling with their broker or loan officer, I should say. I don't even know if it was retail or broker. And that title company suggested that realtor that they were friendly with call me. And out of the blue, I get a call from a realtor saying, hey, Kim over at X title company asked me to give you a call and said that we might want to work together. And, we haven't done anything yet, but we at least opened the conversation. And that was about 4 weeks ago. So those title companies can be a treasure trove of information for you. Think about it this way. They're the ones that talk to the realtor first in the transaction. They're the ones that talk to the realtor last in the transaction. They hear the realtors complain about their loan people when loans don't fund on time, when recordings don't happen on time, when things are not going properly. They hear this. And usually they're friendly with the title agent, the realtor is, because they're referring that title agent business. They're the ones that write in that title company into the contract, not us. So use the title companies as a way to meet realtors, but you got to befriend them and create that relationship first. You're not going to call your local title company today and say, hey, send me your realtors. That's not going to happen. But over time, and this business is a long marathon, not a sprint. I've been doing it 20 plus years, 26 years now. It takes time. It takes a long time to build these relationships. But in the end, it's worth it. Before you know it, 5 years has passed. I mean, how many of you got into this business in 2013 and now you can't believe it's been almost 8 years? I mean, I'm shocked that it's been over 25 years since I've started here. So, so take the slow, steady path of building relationships, and those relationships will pay off in the long run. It might not be tomorrow, it might not be next month, but at some point you'll get a realtor out of it, and then you'll get a second realtor out of it. The other way to do it that I find is listing agents. Every sale you deal with, except for the rare occasion of a FSBO, is going to have a listing agent on there. And if you don't know that listing agent, this is your chance to make a good introduction without being a cold call guy calling an agent saying, hey, it's Marketing Monday. I want to talk to you about sending me business. You've got that agent's 100% attention for the next 20 to 30 days to show them what you're all about, how much communication you're giving, how your loans flow. And a lot of times I've picked my biggest single agent outside of my Redfin agents came to me on the listing side. And the referral that got me together with a Redfin agent a few years back came from a listing side. And then they referred their brother who didn't use that same agent for whatever reason, but used Redfin. And that's how I met Redfin 4.5 years ago. And now Redfin makes up 20%, 25% of my business. So those relationships are about networking and finding your way to the end result, which is having realtors refer you business. So in 2020, I closed 345 loans. And of those 345 loans, about 300 of them, or just a little under, were purchase business. And of those purchase business, I'd have to go back and pull the numbers, but I would say 90%, 95% were realtor direct referrals. And if they weren't directly from a realtor, they were from a previous client who came through me from a realtor, because I haven't spent a penny of advertising. I haven't done leads. Everything I do is from realtors and previous clients. And those previous clients came from realtors. So I know a lot of you guys struggle with working with realtors. I see it all the time on Facebook. People kind of think of them as the devil, and they hate dealing with them. They say they need to stay in their lane. They get in our lane all the time. They're doing the same thing we're doing. They're just looking out for their client's best interest, not our best interest. The realtor should never be looking out for my best interest, just like I should never be looking out for her or his best interest. So when you feel like they're getting into your lane and you hate working with them because they start talking to the borrower about closing costs or anything else, I don't really have those problems because I keep the lines of communication open. I keep the realtor in the loop with all my conversations with the buyers. So those conversations with the realtor behind my back rarely ever happen because they're in the loop and they understand everything we're doing, and they'll chime in during those conversations. And that's fine because I'm there to head off any questions that the buyer might have. So in the end, I would suggest find a way to work with realtors, find a way to enjoy working with realtors. And that takes some time, and that takes just an understanding of how they think and how we think for them. And if you can come to that conclusion, you can build up quite a nice referral partnership of a network of referral partners that will pay off on the long haul. Again, I haven't made a cold call in, I don't know, 10 years maybe. I haven't called a lead. I haven't done advertising or anything in many, many years, about a decade now. And it all has paid off. I mean, 10 years ago, it was a struggle. I mean, I was closing 4 or 5 loans a month after the housing market crashed, and I lost all my partnerships and everything during the housing crash of 2008 and 9. And I had to rebuild. I'd moved to Phoenix right in the middle of the housing crisis. So I had no contacts in the greater Phoenix area. I built from scratch a whole new career during that time. One of the things that people had asked me about when I basically restarted in Phoenix in 2008 during the housing crisis is, how do you start over again? For me, at the time, it was really just going out there again, calling on some realtors, dropping by their offices. Nowadays, that's not as easy because we're more of a virtual world. But again, calling on various places where you would meet realtors. If I was in line at Starbucks and I heard somebody talking about real estate behind me, I'd turn around and hand them my card. So there's no one right or wrong place to meet people in this business. I know with the pandemic's a little harder right now, but again, work every single title company out there. Call them, even if you don't have relationships with them. I mean, I've talked about building those relationships, but if you're just getting started in this business, call them and just say, hey, if you ever hear of anybody that might need my services, call financial advisors, call, anybody, your family, your friends, your dentist, everybody, just about everybody out there has some sort of need for real estate. Even if it's just the waitress at Denny's that might not be ready to buy a house for 5 years, it's never too soon to give your card out and to talk to them about future of buying a house. I don't think there's very few people out there that says I never want to own a house in my life. So to get started, I would just say it's networking. You have to go out there and meet every single person you possibly can and talk about what you do. Because if they don't know what you do, they can't possibly refer you anybody. So, so talk about what you do to every single person you meet in life when you're new at this. And for you established guys, I would just say use your title companies. And that's how I've met people. And that's how I built my relationships over the last number of years. But the housing crisis was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me refocus my attention on realtors, because at the time, that's all there was in late 8 and 2009. There was no real refis. There was not much to do other than purchase business. And it was usually to clean conventional type of purchase business because everything else had went to hell. So, take that time. Again, do your refis now, make your money, but focus on really adding in some partners along the way, meeting those listing agents, wowing them through the whole process with communication, because communication is everything. I saw a survey, I can't remember, it was on one of the message boards, and it was a professional survey by one of the companies like Housing Wire or somebody, but they were asking realtors what they look for in a loan officer. Number one thing was communication. Believe it or not, referring leads back to that realtor was the 4th thing on that list. And again, last year, out of those 300 or so purchases I did, I think I referred 2 leads back to realtors last year. Because I'm not advertising, I'm not doing any of those things that bring in unsolicited leads that have no realtor attached. So my real estate partners, even though they refer me a lot of business, they don't look for leads from me because I'm working with established realtors, not brand spanking new realtors that need every lead they can get. I'm working with realtors that have their own business, and they tell me, we don't care about your referrals. We'll take them. Great. It's icing on the cake, but we need the communication. We need that we have a guy that we trust that is experienced with guidelines and they know what's going on and they're not going to have last minute hiccups. And you can never be afraid to say no in this business and never be afraid to give bad news. The worst thing you can do in a realtor relationship is find out there's something going on with the loan and trying to fix it without telling the realtor, and then having to give the realtor bad news in the 11th hour. They may not want to hear there's a problem right up front, but they'll appreciate the fact that you're honest with them And then they will help you work through that problem, or at least they'll be prepared for that problem if it becomes a big problem that can't be fixed. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, trust me, your realtor partners will be very appreciative that you were communicating that up front and not hiding it from them and trying to fix it on your own, and then coming up at the 11th hour and saying, sorry, we're going to have to go a different direction, or sorry, we just don't have a loan for you. So keep that in mind. Bad news is not always bad news if it's given the right way. And be ready to say no. Never take on anything that's a project that you just don't even know if it's going to work. We're too busy for that. Why tie yourself up with a project that is going to pay you one time a fee that you've now neglected other things that because you've got too much time invested in that one project? So be ready to say no when you have to. We're not supposed to be everything to everybody. Now, I will say this, one of my biggest philosophies is finding your niche. And for me, that's clean, conventional business. That doesn't work for all of you. Some of you are FHA, some of you are VA. I know this last week's sales meeting, Tom Mancuso was on there, who's a good friend of mine here in Phoenix. And I know that Tom loves VA, and that's great. I've done one VA in 20 years. I just focus on the clean conventional business. That's my niche. But find your niche. It doesn't have to be my niche. It doesn't have to be Tom's niche, but find your niche. Because if you start trying to be everything to everybody, then you're not being an expert at any one thing. And that's where being an expert and being the best at your one thing or your two things will gain you fans. And it'll make you look good to the realtor community and the other people in various referral partner communities. The one thing that agents always say is that they can count on me to always know where a file's at, and I never deliver late. I'm always there with all the news that they need and all the communication. And it's because I don't take on non-QM loans that I'm not really familiar with. If a customer calls me, and I don't care if it's a $500,000 loan, if it's not something that it's not in my niche of what I do, I will refer it out to somebody else, because I'm not going to just struggle with a loan to try to get that one extra deal. And then all of a sudden I'm closing late. Those type of loans will make you look bad because you've closed late or you've had hiccup after hiccup throughout the process. Even though you can tell the realtor up front, hey, this is going to be a really, really tough one. All they remember in the end, did we close on time? Did we fund on time? How much of a headache was this loan officer during this time? So find your niche, find what you're good at, keep it simple, keep it streamlined, because there's plenty of loans out there to be had in every niche that you might have. And again, that's what I've prided myself on. And it's why I have a sterling reputation amongst realtors in the greater Phoenix area. And, it's just my philosophy, find your niche, work it to the max, be the best at one or two things, not great or okay at 5 or 6. So, and with that said, the one thing that I harp on all the time is answer your damn phone. I think we all joked it's like my tagline. In fact, I said it Fuse this past year and then maybe this coming year in Vegas. I think I'm going to get a tattoo that says answer your damn phone, because honestly, I live by that motto. That will get you everywhere. Realtors, borrowers, underwriters, title companies, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's somebody from AIME calling me. If you don't answer your phone, they don't like to leave voicemails. Who likes to leave a voicemail and wait around and wonder when you're getting that call back? Now, I understand that you can't answer every single call. I have voicemail for a reason, because I can't answer every single call. But if I'm at the grocery store, I'll answer that phone call. I'll tell the customer, hey, I'm sorry, I'm out running an errand right now. If I got a good enough relationship with the realtor, I'll actually tell them I'm at the grocery store, but I'll just say I'm out right now. I didn't want to send you the voicemail. So can I give you a call back in 15 minutes? Or can I give you a call back in an hour or even 2 hours if it's, say, a Sunday afternoon? But I answer probably I probably answered 19 out of every 20 phone calls. Anything I can do to answer the phone, I don't care where I'm at. If I can get to the phone and answer it, I will. I'll take a note and then I'll call them back. And that little bit of personal service goes a long, long way. I don't think there's anybody watching this that wouldn't rather call somewhere and have a person answer the phone and just say, hey, I'm a little bit tied up right now, but I'll call you back, versus leaving a voicemail that you don't know when they're going to get it, if they're going to even get it, because sometimes voicemails accidentally get deleted or don't go through. So answer your phone. On the flip side of that, there's nothing worse than when somebody calls and you get that message that says voicemail's full. You can't leave a message. Realtors are terrible about this. And I always remind my realtors, I'll text them and say, hey, I tried to leave you a message. Your voicemail's full, by the way, because they don't realize it. But loan officers, you're guilty of it too. So keep your voicemails cleaned out. It's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm sure if I don't like getting that message and it's unprofessional, in my opinion, I'm sure that the customers and the realtors feel the same about us. So if you can't answer your phone, make sure you have a voicemail that is cleared out, and don't have some bizarre long message. Make it enough information on the outgoing message that it gets to the point, but it's not a 45-second, you're sitting there listening to War and Peace being read to you or something. So keep it short, keep it simple. Try not to let it go to voicemail, but if it does, make sure your voicemail is cleared out, and then get those calls returned very quickly. Other than that, the only other thing I want to talk about is, AIME. AIME has been absolutely wonderful for me. I can't stress enough, anybody that's in the broker channel, if they're not part of AIME, that you got to bring them on board. They have to be on board. There's no charge to being a part of AIME right now, but if your friends are in the broker channel and they're not on Brokers Are Better website and they're not a part of AIME, it's up to us to tell them to be there, because there's so much good information. I mean, things from like these sales meetings to the broker playbook. More importantly to me, because I've been doing this a long time. I don't really have to have these type of sales meetings to pump me up every week. I mean, I enjoy them, but I don't have to have them. But AIME has meant a lot to me as far as networking. I've met so many great loan officers and made so many friends through the community because of AIME. Me and Anthony Costa stumbled upon each other 4 years ago or something. And it's turned into, now I have some really lifelong friendships now, and I can count on these other loan officers in other states to send me referrals or for me to refer them. And more importantly, I can count on them to help me out when there's a guideline I can't figure out on my own. And then networking, networking with the lenders is really important. Before AIME, I really didn't know Matt Ishbia. I didn't know some of the higher ups of some of the other companies. And I had a customer, or not a customer, I had a loan officer just a couple of days ago. We were talking on a big Facebook discussion, and I was explaining how when I have a problem at UWM, I can get it fixed pretty quickly. And somebody made a kind of a funny, but maybe it's a little snide remark that not everybody has direct access to Matt Ishbia. Well, I don't call Matt directly with my problems. But having networked and gotten to know Matt at different events and knowing the other leadership team at UWM, I've spent a lot of time with the leadership team at various AIME events and things of that nature. And it's given me the insights on who to call when I do really have a problem, because sometimes the AEs aren't the best person to call in those situations. So AIME has meant everything to me as far as the networking and getting to know leadership at the various lenders, whether it's, UWM or Equity Prime Mortgage, who I'm doing an event with in a couple of weeks. Those type of relationships are priceless. And that's what AIME brings to the table for me personally, is the networking ability. So keep that in mind if any of your friends out there that are brokers that aren't part of AIME. Finally, I just want to say thank you for having me this morning. Again, if I can give you any motivation, it's go out there and win the day, win the customer, motivate yourself by looking at this as, I almost look at this as this business as a sport. Like, I want to go out there and win every loan I possibly can. And in my niche, by the way. But again, I can't stress enough, answer your damn phone. Answer the phone. It's the key to this. The simplest, most basic thing we do in this industry that gets overlooked so often because there's so many other things that you guys have going on in your lives that you don't want to answer that one more phone call tonight. Again, answer your damn phone. Tune in next week. The guest will be Skylar Walsh, one of my good friends and my cohort in Maine, we called each other twinsies there for a couple years straight because we were so in line with each other on our production levels. And Skylar's great, so tune in next week for her. I'm sure she'll have some great tidbits for you guys. And hey, have a great week, guys.